Love. What is love? In this video, I'm going to discuss the various different types of love and in the end, share with you basically what unconditional love is. So let's start at the beginning. We've got these outdated concepts of love, and they revolve around control, domination, submission, financial matters, occupation, family acquaintances, ties to the past, expectations, rules and regulations, children, marriage, division between the sexes, unfair distribution of work, separation, and physical needs being met. So this love is highly conditional, and it brings about division and additional issues because it's stemmed in inequality. So when your partner doesn't want what you want or has different ideas about how something should go down, it creates conflict and division between the two of you. Problems can also crop up if financially one partner does better than the other, or has less time or more time on their hands, or does shift work, changes professions, or develops a serious or life-threatening illness. The list goes on and on. If emotional and physical needs are not met, if abuse enters into the scene due to troubles or stresses placed on the couple, abuse can come from work and can enter the home. That is the love that most people are struggling with, and they learn to tolerate one another eventually. But I'm here to share with you that there is different types of love. There is 6 types of love. Just mentioning a few here. There's a one-sided love, very common, where someone will obsess with another person and it's not reciprocated. There is love based on intimacy and chemistry. Then there is love where it's based on a more mental connection with another person. And there is love based on like pursuit, again, where someone chases and they're getting pleasure from getting as many people falling in love with them as they can. So there's just a few examples, but there's more. And then there's stages of love. There's obviously a honeymoon phase that people go through, and that can last for 12 months. Then there's stage 2, which very few people actually get past in the relationship, where you see the other person's flaws and you come to a point where you have to learn to love them with flaws and all, and understand that they may not be the person you thought they were in the beginning. People do change, and a lot of the time relationships break up when they hit this stage. Now, I'm going to be speaking of something that's not really written about in the books. It's a soul love, and that's what I've come to learn. So, what is unconditional love? Well, it's freeing of all limits and all conditions placed upon by others. It never dies or ends. It only grows stronger the more you allow it into your heart. It is forgiving, kind, understanding, strong, steady, safe, and secure. It is gentle and never demanding or assuming. It is healing and cleansing and purifying. It's always in God's timing and fair, and it's a feeling and energy, and one that fills you up to the brim at times. It is so overwhelming. It is something that enters your heart after it's broken and heals the pain within it, and is shared with others, not by words or actions alone, but through compassion, understanding, and a genuine care and interest in others' well-being. It is shared through loving intentions, through goodwill and heartfelt gestures. It is shared selflessly with everyone and anyone. That is unconditional love. No one is excluded, everyone is included. No one is judged, compared, or hated. but accepted just as they are, where they're at in their varying stages in life. It's healing and uplifting for others. It can be shared in a group of people or between individuals. One thing is certain, it is not drama-filled or victim-orientated, and it's ever-expanding, healing, and simply divine. So the higher realms are literally swimming in this stuff called God, masculine energies, the Holy Ghost, feminine energies, or the energies of Christ consciousness. There are many names it goes under, when really only one name fits, and it's God, universal life force energy called love. It doesn't punish, it doesn't condemn or judge. Your soul is your judge in life, and your ego mind is your condemnation. So when we look at this sort of love, it's completely alien to us, because so many people self-sabotage and neglect their own needs, or give up their needs for the sake of others, giving up their own happiness or pleasing others or compromising. No means no, and personal boundaries are to be respected when it comes to unconditional love. You are your own master, and you have to be true to yourself, which doesn't mean at the expense of others. Being true to yourself means following your heart, living your truth. If you believe in something, you stand by that. But if the other person doesn't believe or doesn't agree with you, it's not a match. You leave them be, and you don't push someone to fit into your idea of what you think love should be. So there's boundaries to be respected. It's not manipulation. There's no fear, and anger doesn't exist in these relationships, because they're built on openness, honesty, integrated love, respect, and devotion. So basically everything that I've mentioned is unconditional love, and it's based on the law of attraction. So once you let go of your perception of self, who you think you are, and you allow your true self and your true colors to come out, then you start entering into this energy. And yes, there is a shadow side to address, and that is your own demons to confront. But in the end, I'm just going to go over this one more time. Okay, it is freeing of all limits. So what does that mean? Freeing of all limits means basically no conditions. When love exists, it does break down barriers between people. There are always going to be differences, and we're not looking at the differences. You can spend your whole life dividing between people and finding faults and being negative. This is not unconditional love. This is the complete opposite. It's conditional, and it's destructive. So being negative and pessimistic and critical is not going to get you in the right headspace. And it works on law of attraction. So if you are vibing that negativity and pessimism and control, you are going to attract the same, or you're going to attract a situation that's ugly. You are not going to get unconditional love. There's no way in hell someone is going to turn around and go, I'm going to love you, when you behave like an idiot. And freeing of all limits, basically, yeah, that means there's no boundaries. That means no matter what the situation, no matter how difficult things are, it knows no limits. When you love someone, you love someone. And it's not something, spiritually speaking, you don't cut cords of love. You can cut cords of attachment, you can cut draining cords. There's all sorts of cords you form, but not cords of love. Love is the universal life force energy. So when you go into that, basically you share that love with that other person on a soul level, and that never gets broken. you're forever connected with that person. Okay, so it never dies or ends. We go, it grows stronger the more you allow it into your heart. So yeah, the more you sustain these unconditional loving relationships, the more you respond in ways that are positive and constructive, basically the love just gets stronger and it grows, because nothing is ever stationary. You're either going up in life or you're going down. Then life is not stagnant. So if you're not destroying the relationship and the love that you have, you're growing stronger and stronger. And when you feed, it's almost like a flower. When you water it and you give it the right ingredients, it grows. When you take away from it, it dies. But love never really dies. I think it's more if you have a house plant and you're putting poison on it and you're poisoning it and you poison the relationship, and then you have all this crap that builds up and it feels as though the love has died, but the love is still there. It's more that there's a pile of things on there that shouldn't be there, like you've got judgments and criticisms, and judgment's a big one. I find a lot of relationships, like when the conflict hits, judgment sets in, and instead of love, you're left with the judgment. So there's an example there. But you're basically either polluting it or growing stronger. So if we're looking at unconditional love, it just grows stronger and stronger the more you allow it to grow. It doesn't die, and it strengthens you. It gives you courage. It gives you strength. It is forgiving. It is kind and understanding, strong and steady. So exactly those things. I mean, if it's unconditional love, it's forgiving at all costs. It doesn't matter what that person's done. If that person has soul connection, you forgive them, whether it's your child or your family member. They might have done horrible things and no one else can forgive them for what they've done. But if you have a genuine soul love connection with someone, you forgive them, because you can understand that nobody's perfect. Everyone has like sin, and they're acting from what's within them. Sometimes they're reenacting things, but you know, like people do stupid things when they're scared or when they're angry or when they're sad. You know, they're not always going to be acting from a sound mind, and sometimes people are just desperate or have their wires crossed. And there's so many situations, but if you can understand why the person did what they did, where their behavior is coming from, it's quite easy to forgive. Kindness, again, if there is actual love and it's unconditional, you're always going to respond with kindness. There is no way you would fall into judgment and be brash, you know. There's understanding, and it's very strong and steady and safe and secure. So again, that comes with a gentleness and never demanding or assuming, and it's healing and cleansing and purifying. And when I say it's in God's timing, what I mean by that is there is a perfect timing. You know, you do things too soon, then you destroy things. You know, you wait too long, the opportunities are gone. It always is about divine timing, and that comes with your vibration. If your vibrational match with someone else's vibrational match and it's compatible, it'll come to pass. Otherwise, you're chasing something, or you're running away from something, or it's clashing, and that's not divine timing, and those sort of things don't flow. So it is very much stemmed in vibration and vibrational match, and coming from being true to yourself. So very much, as I said, be true to you first. So you have to know who you are. You have to know what you like, what your lifestyle is like, what your passions and drives are, what your weaknesses and strengths are. You have to know you so well that you can understand and be living your life from that space of, this is who I am, unapologetically, and then you attract someone else who's in the same vibration, and you can't possibly attract someone else that you think you want when you're not of the same vibration. Like, you could be at a core level able to get to the same frequency at some stage, but if you haven't worked on yourself, you don't shine. It's like you're in all this muddiness, and you might look at someone and go, I know that that's the kind of person I would be happy with, but then you're not attracting that sort of person because you yourself are in a density, and until you clear off your density and put your life on track, on where it ought to be, where you ought to be, where you actually belong, you won't attract the right person to you. And I think there's a lot of people in the wrong relationships, and just in relationships for all the wrong reasons. A bit about myself. I'm not going to make this much longer than 20 minutes, this recording, but I have been in some right relationships and some wrong relationships. And it's difficult to explain this, but I married into a family that was, I would say I married a compatible partner, but there was a lot of darkness in the family, and that just spoiled my marriage. It just riddled in, and it affected everyone and everything. And still to this day, since my divorce, it is still poisoning the children. So basically, it comes down to you and you healing yourself, and you finding who you are, raising your vibration, putting yourself on the life path you want to be. I'm going to use myself as an example. As a musician, I have to do my music. I am not going to go become a photographer or a journalist or something else, even a hairdresser, other things that interest me, because that is not my calling. I am very heavily a musician, very much involved in music. That is my calling, so I stick with that. And my partner, whoever's right for me, has to be a musician. There is no question about that. I do not tolerate anyone who has no knowledge of music. I just can't, because 90% of my knowledge is in music. I can't be with someone who has 10% knowledge in music. It doesn't work for me. So just things like that, you have to know about yourself, and you have to, well, in my opinion, it comes down to lifestyles as well. Like, I know I'm a vegetarian, I've been vegan, very health conscious, very, very health conscious. I cannot be with someone who eats garbage. It is not something I can do, because then we cannot share meals. It's as simple as that. Someone who is health conscious, someone who's a musician, all these things are important. And another example, I'm also someone, despite my PTSD, which I am still healing, I quite like doing research, and I like reading like books and then finding out new information. I've got a certain aspect to me which is very much interested in like learning and sharing and documentaries and things. And I can't be with someone who, again, doesn't have an interest in that. I am not going to sit down and watch replays of something that bores me senseless. I will walk out the front door within 2 seconds. So my tolerance is zero for people who think they're compatible with me and push their way into my life. I have had it, and I know who I am. I know what will work and what won't work. And that's a stage, I think, where everyone needs to reach, and also to get rid of the stigma where you think you have to be with someone. I am happy on my own. If I don't ever meet somebody that I'm compatible with in my life, I enjoy my life. I like the way that I live. I know who I am. I do what I need to do to keep myself happy. I don't need someone following me around 24/7. So, the person's either adding to your life or they're taking away from your life. You're either having a blast together and it's like the best time ever, or, you're fighting all the time and it's a drain. And you know yourself whether you should or you shouldn't be in a relationship like that. And you know, when you have time alone to figure yourself out and who you are and what you want, most of the time, 9 out of 10, you realize those relationships are just not worth it. The time, the effort, the stress, the pain, the financial difficulties you end up with. So, you know, after all this, I think what I'm going to leave on is just to say that go within, understand yourself, find yourself. And again, that's done through meditation, quiet contemplation, time on your own. Do not ever rush into a relationship. My God, have I seen people make a mess. Don't do it. You know, you don't know that person and that person doesn't know you. It is like suicide. Until you take the time to get to really know someone, you can't say whether you are compatible or whether it's going to work. So, you know, I just say slow down. You've got to really get to know that person. And then if you're not compatible, friendship is always an option. But this idea of going from one person to another, to another, to another, that I see millions of people doing, oh my God, the headache. I meet a lovely guy and he's got 3 exes. I don't want the baggage. I don't have a single ex that gives me grief. They're all put in their place. And I'm free, but no one else is free. So things like that, you know, I think it's really important. And get to know yourself, to meditate, to be comfortable in your own skin, and not to be desperately running around looking for someone to save you from yourself or another relationship, because you're just running away from yourself in the end. And I really want to put that forward to everyone. It's okay to be single. It's okay to be alone. You don't need someone for your happiness. And being single and alone doesn't mean you go painting the town either. It just means you have the strength to be comfortable in your own skin and to do your own thing. You don't need someone else. That is strength. I would love to meet someone else who can actually be alone. I don't see it. Thank you.